Welcome back to the channel. Is cryptocurrency ready to capitulate in order for us to mint the new millionaires? That's what we're looking at in today's video, following on from yesterday's live stream, specifically looking at the dump that happened on cryptocurrencies and why that happened, where we currently are from that, what we can look forward to for the first week of May. So let's smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, stay up to date with the content of crypto and of course the real estate cycle, because as the regular viewers know, I believe 2022 is the year that the millionaires will be minted. This is one of our best opportunities since the crash in 2020 to get on board with whatever assets we believe are going to skyrocket. This is a great year and we're just seeing the beginning of this year. We're seeing these lows start to come in. Looking forward to what is coming next in this next sort of 6 to 12 months to really set the stage moving forward into the later part of the 2020s. So let's dive into today's video, and a quick shout out to our channel sponsor, Bybit. Super easy platform to get your cryptocurrencies, trade them, and of course, more importantly, stake them for huge returns here. This is even on flexible UST at 15%. Sure, you could get 18% going through the DeFi process of Anchor protocol, but something nice and simple to get started with at 15%. You can't beat that in this market under a flexible saving. So check that out and you can get up to $4,100 of sign-up bonuses using the link down below in the video description. Starting with the Nasdaq, as Bitcoin has been quite closely correlated to the Nasdaq. Of course, this closed on Friday. So what's happening this week, I think, is going to come down to the Nasdaq. We've seen a close below the previous major lows. Should this market continue down, then I think this little bounce that we're seeing in crypto, the potential capitulation on altcoins, may not last that long. So I think a lot of the market is weighing on what happens in the next 24 hours with the Nasdaq, now down 4.47%. I think if we can get that close tonight, at least see some sort of higher close above these previous levels, that's going to give us a little bit of a relief throughout the cryptocurrency space. Remember, with Bitcoin still looking pretty strong, we are still above the lows, which the Nasdaq has actually broken down. So that's a much weaker sign on the Nasdaq. And that could spell some shorter term strength for Bitcoin and possibly even longer term strength if it can hold above those levels, meaning that it's not necessarily going to be completely correlated to all of the moves that the Nasdaq has, which is a good sign for us. It's the bit of hopium within the Bitcoin space at the moment. On the 4-hour chart, we're just looking at this little bit of a reversal since yesterday. So yesterday we had this one crash bar here. Everything happened in about an hour and a half. We see the market drop and then it started to reverse, a little bit of a sell-off before the market is attempting to get higher. So as always, the prices above that we want to see the market, and this has been the number for the last couple of weeks, $40,600. You can see every time that we've come back to 40,600, we just continue to get rejected. Sometimes we get a little bit higher, but then it was a quick retreat, failed again, just missed out, and failed again. So 40,600, I think in the short term, definitely is that price that Bitcoin needs to recover to bring some stability back to the altcoins in order to see that relief rally and potentially put an end to that, at least in my opinion, the short-term capitulation in altcoins. Now, the level after 40,600 still remains at around that $43,000. Now, it's changed between, say, 42,900, 43,400. Doesn't really matter that specific number, but around that 43,000, because you can see there's a high here, another high here. There's a couple up here getting closer to the 44K, but more importantly, there's the 50% level when we drop it back to a daily chart there. So that's the current low to that previous high where the market went absolutely nuts in late March. There was a ton of excitement. We remember that part there. Remember all of these emotions that were in the market and then how quickly that faded. That's where the 43-ish level comes in. So 42,800 for a nice round number, call it 43. If you're just looking for that one number for some strength to return to the market, that's where I'm looking for in the short term. Now, if it gets rejected at that level again, that's going to be pretty bearish. And I don't want to throw too much bearishness around here because we're looking at cryptocurrency, millionaires being made and hopium and all that sort of jazz. We're getting further into the year. We're a third of the year down. We're now May 2nd, getting closer to the halfway point. and we still haven't seen Bitcoin break down from these lows. So not having broken these lows is a nice sign of strength, while the Nasdaq is of course struggling to maintain these lows. You can see that the market is basically heading down at this point and has been rejected at that double top. Getting to that cryptocurrency millionaire status is more than just learning how to trade. It's essentially a whole mindset game, because as you've seen already over at least the last 12 months of cryptocurrency, if you've been in this game, you can see that a majority of this comes down to the mind games rather than just being able to know exactly when to buy and sell. Because even if you do know that exactly, there's always that voice in the back of your head that tells you, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, maybe this time will be different, maybe I'll miss out and I should have got onto that last cryptocurrency. So you go chase something else that's already pumped. So I've got a few points here. This is not an exhaustive list, but some of the main things I've noted are millionaires don't buy the low, and they don't need to sell the exact top either. You just need to be able to take a chunk of profits out of the middle of the market. Millionaires don't lose focus. This is the most important part in this time of the market, which is why I'm looking at, millionaires are created, they're minted during these times, which is pretty similar to what happened in 2018 and 2019, when you can see the market basically going sideways, giving us a bit of hope, and then fades and hopes and massive fades and then more hope. And then before you know it, the market's basically taken off. So it takes a fair bit of mind work to sort yourself out. So that is been over 2 years. You can go back to the 2018 bear market as well before you get that massive capitulation dump, and look at where we currently are. We've only just begun this little section here after a nice solid move down. I don't think it's still going to turn out anything like we saw in 2018, because we didn't get that big boom up like we saw in 2017. So even if we fall into the mid 20s, it's not an 80 or 90% drop, which we've already seen on Bitcoin. But going back here, they don't lose focus. And I've already seen a lot of people give up in this market. They're just giving up here because they're sick of the emotional swings. If you can master that, you will become a millionaire at some point within some field that you are mastering. And in this case, we're looking at cryptocurrency. Millionaires don't blame others. You blame others, you're always going to stay poor. Millionaires are accountable for their own money. So regardless of what you see anywhere else, take responsibility for your own strategies. Test your strategies. Don't go into this next stage of the market blind. I'm dead serious. This is where the big money is made. If you're able to hold on and you do see some capitulations, make sure you do have some in the bank and you're not getting swept up in the news telling you that the merge is coming, telling you that Bitcoin mining hash rates are at new all-time highs, therefore Bitcoin should be at new all-time highs as well. This stuff is what wrecks people. And that's why I've got here as the last one, millionaires don't rely on the news. You've got a tested strategy. Maybe you've tested it over the last 12 months. Maybe you're testing it moving forward. But basically, you don't want to go in blind, because you'll basically just you'll work towards someone else's plan, and essentially that other person's plan is typically the news or some other sort of influencer. So what I'm talking about here, definitely take it as a starting point, put it to the test. If you find something that doesn't work, definitely move on and do something that works for you. There is no one exact way to get to that millionaire status, and you'll have to do something that works for you, because it has to become your plan so that you feel confident in it. You can't become a millionaire if you are relying on someone else all of the time, because you'll basically lose hope and lose faith. It doesn't last long if you can't get there yourself. Let's move on and take a look at the cryptocurrencies and where some of these have capitulated and what could happen if the capitulation doesn't hold. As I have here down lower, if the bull signal, which is that capitulation and that move up, doesn't hold, the bear reversal should be just as strong. So if we don't get that bounce and we start to come back down and break those lows of that particular cryptocurrency that you are watching, then that bear signal, that drop, will probably be quite significant. So keep that in mind. That's essentially like a trading rule. Let's take a look at Ape, ETH, Crow, and Fantom, which have been absolutely pumped up. Just the headlines, and then take a look at the charts. The leading NFT marketplace, OpenSea, now accepting Apecoin. So there's a lot of good news for Apecoin at the moment, and we've seen that in the price. Bored Ape Metaverse Frenzy raises millions. It crashes Ethereum. We saw that over the last 24 hours. It was costing about $6,000 to mint one of the other deeds. So basically to buy some land in the new metaverse for Bored Ape Yacht Club. The transaction fees about 2 Ether, 6K, more than the price of the deed itself, which were around 5,800 based on Apecoin's price of $19 as of Saturday. And essentially, Apecoin has come all the way back down and lower because you can see the hype up and then the subsequent dump that occurred on Ape after everything went live. Markets come back down and it's back underneath those previous highs. So I think if we see a break underneath around 1350, probably a little more downside for Ape. Ape is not one of these coins which I think has had that low capitulation because it's being used at this point in time. So yeah, just a quick tweet on Ape. Note, I've got these links in the video description because there's a lot of scammers out there. So make sure you're using the safe links in the video description. Don't talk to anyone else on Twitter or on Instagram either. So even if you just follow so that you have the real one, by all means. Love it. Okay, short-term altcoin capitulation is in. Agree or disagree? Nearly 500 votes, most of the time left here. 57%, so about 6 in 10 think the short-term capitulation is in, and we'll have a look at why. 4 out of 10 think or disagree with that I think there's further downside, but that could be a difference in terms of a time frame. Now looking at the Bitcoin dominance, we checked this, it got rejected at 50%, and then we saw the mini altcoin season, talked specifically about that on the channel here. 50% support, low to high, pretty simple stuff, meaning Bitcoin, cryptos just sorting themselves out during that period, or at least there was some more money getting sort of flowing into altcoins, but way more money flows into altcoins when the dominance drops. And then recently, over the last week or two, we saw the altcoin capitulation. Altcoins were creeping down and down and down. And then you get these two pretty sharp bars up, meaning the dominance of Bitcoin increased and then the altcoins failed. So if we start to see the dominance drop again, that would mean that we're seeing some more money flow into altcoins. So let's see if that is a possibility. And of course, I think long-term, it will be a great possibility. Bitcoin will be back. ETH will be back. Altcoins will be back, but history says it's probably a new batch of hopes and dreams. This is something to always remember because there are a lot of altcoins. In the case here, we're looking at Fantom, which have gone on massive, massive runs. Fantom, amazing. A lot of people made a shit ton of money, but even more people lost an absolute shit ton of money. Because you can see this chart has basically gone from next to nothing here at fractions of a cent all the way up to a few bucks. And I already see people calling for $10 of Fantom if they were buying at 60 cents. So I think the question comes down to how much gain are you wanting from a bounce? So if you got into Fantom at 65 or 70 cents over the last 24 hours, you can see there's some good volume here. There's a good sign for at least a capitulation bounce, right? So you can see the bar down, the reversal bar. Market is starting to trend down a little bit. Got some volume here. So you really want to see this market get back above 92 cents and then creep its way back to some previous resistance levels. So how much gain are you looking for from Fantom in the short term for it to be worthwhile you buying this and taking the risk on the particular cryptocurrency at 60 or 70 cents? Because remember, the downside here is still pretty significant. You can see we've got another little section back here in around the 50 to 60 cents and as low as about 35 cents. Now the next section down is around 6 to 18 or 17 cents. So there can still be a lot of downside move. I would suspect it comes down to what you are looking for in a bounce. Do you think it's going to bounce from here at 70 cents all the way back to $3, go to new all-time highs? Or do you think there's more possibility of this market heading down? If that's the case, there's going to have to be some patience here because we could see this jump back up to previous support levels, which we can see come out at approximately $1, $1.10, maybe even a little higher here at $1.60. So there's all that possibility that you do see that. Maybe you get 100% return. But is this the low that needs to be bought up for a longer term play to get to $10? So the way around that to implement this for a plan is be prepared to pay a premium for your investment for certainty, or be prepared to short-term trade the market, whether it's long and then go short or just sell it if you're trading it. This is what the whales do. They do not just buy and hodl. We hear that a lot, especially for new investors, because it's a very easy concept for an influencer, you see it on YouTube or maybe Twitter, for them to say to you, they're buying here, the whales are buying, it's all great. The whales are not just buying and then hoping this market goes back up. They are buying at these levels and then coming back to test higher prices. So you can see there's a lot of volume here. So it's clear that there was a lot of buying going on. You can see that volume is pretty much in line with a lot of other major bounces in the past or major rejections. So there was a lot of selling coming into the market before it dumped. So looking here, you can see the volume. I think they'll come up and try to test the underside of this level. You can see there's another very significant low back here at about, it was about $1.95. And then again, you got this little area before it dumped at about 96 cents. So I dare say they'll come back and test that area or even fall short of it before we see a fade or a break above and get some higher lows. So I'm prepared to pay a premium to get my certainty. And I think a lot of people, now that they've been through a pretty significant bear market, may be interested in paying a premium, so paying a higher price in order to get that certainty out of the market so that they're not left holding a bag that they bought at 70 cents to only see it go to 90 or $1 and then fade back down to 30 cents. You know, that's the worst feeling. And then you don't have the money left to buy up at lows. So be prepared to pay a premium or be prepared to change your mind at the drop of a hat. If you don't see this going your way, you need to sell and get back into the market at a later point. Be prepared to do both of those. That is exactly what the whales are doing because they are testing prices. They buy up a lot, they sell it off to see whether the demand comes back in. If the demand does not come back in, tank it again. Get rid of that, come back and find the next level. Backwards and forwards until it's in. Then you pay the premium and away you go to the races. So the unfortunate news for CRO comes out overnight, 11 p.m. my time here, so sometime in the morning in the US, that they are removing the staking rewards for CRO and effectively has dropped the price in the last 24 hours. You got a dump and then another dump. Now, there is some volume that's come in. The market's closing about halfway up the bar if you want to take a little closer look there. But I think over time, this is still going to drop a little further, probably into around the next support levels where we can see this blue line here, probably around that mid-20s. And then we could drop this all the way back and look towards the teens. Now, that's only just the next price targets, but I think we've seen some sort of capitulation at the moment, probably going to come back and test the underside at around 32 cents. You can see where the yellow line is here, that low and another low here. So the market tends to capitulate, gets a little bit of volume in. If it can't get back above, get to that 32 to 36 cents, it'll be weak and it'll probably head down again. Again, the whales are just testing this. The bottom side, test the upper side, have enough on hand to sell it off, to test it themselves, see if there's any demand coming in to hold that price up. If there's not, dump the rest of it, wait till you find another bottom to be buying up at, to then go and test the upper side again. So that unfortunate news came out, even though the market was still on a way down. You can see that the market was trending down, and then you get that extra news to throw into that capitulation. No one wants to see a company come out and then remove all of the staking rewards for that crypto that you're holding, because then there's no reason to continue holding that crypto. So let's dump it and see what happens next. That's my opinion of how that market worked. And of course, that's what we've seen on the chart. But that could be at the end of some sort of capitulation before we come back and test. We have to wait and see. But I dare say, at least over the next sort of 3 to 6 months, we'll probably see some lower prices. Which brings me back to the whole crypto millionaires are minted during this period. You can see back in 2020 and 2021, some pretty low prices here. And if you throw it on log, you can definitely see, look at that capitulation all the way down. That's the March crash. And then the market tanked off here when they took away some more of the rewards. That was the point there. We tanked into about 5 or 6 cents. And then, of course, if you could hold out to 20 odd cents, next tank, we obviously moved up to getting very close to that dollar mark. So I think we're on our way back down again. This will take some time, but don't take your eyes off it. Keep it on a watch list and then come back to it when some of those alerts are hit. Smart money is accumulating ETH. They sure are. Whales accumulating ahead of the merge. Yes, we've heard that all before. Whales accumulating ahead of the merge. That was all March. All right. I'm just trying to talk about what the news headlines tell us, what the influencers tell us, and then what's actually happening in the markets. You know, we hear about the merge, we hear about the whales buying, all we see is the price going down, or in the short term, we see some sort of price rally for a few weeks, which gets everyone excited. And then guess what? Whales dump on the market because the the retail has listened to the news that's come out a long time ago. And then you got the on-chain data news. So just wake up to these sort of things. That's obviously my opinion here. I want everyone to succeed the best that they can. And over the last 5 years in crypto, 15 years in investing, it's always the same. It's always news BS that leads people astray from the price chart, which is showing us what the whales are actually doing. So if this is the case and this is the low and they are buying, we would love to see the price get back above 2,900 in the short term. You can see that's a major 50% level from the range from January to that sort of March, April top, 2,900, and then start to work its way higher, get back out of this falling wedge, and then work its way higher back to around 3,200, which is that 50% level, and also some previous tops, and then work your way higher to 36. If they are actually buying and there's nothing left on exchanges because of ETH being burned and it becoming deflationary, and there's nothing left and there's a lot of demand, then that's what we should definitely see. 2,900, 3,200, 3,600. And if that doesn't happen, then again, it was basically just headlines feeding us stuff to then get dumped on again before the price comes back and tests these other levels. This next major level is still sitting at 25 to 2650. That's the next major level I think ETH may need to test. But in the short term, we may see a bit of a bounce. I know it's a yes, no to either side, but we need to be prepared for both ways because that's essentially what the whales are doing. They're not acting like retail and just buying when someone says merge is happening, buy now. They are testing the market. They're always testing. Is there supply or is there more demand coming in? Now, if you're finding all of this waiting time so boring and annoying, use it to educate yourself, learn more about trading. You can check out the link to our Patreon and TIA Premium. The link is in the top of the description. You can also go and stake your stablecoins or cryptocurrencies on exchanges like Bybit. Remember, you can also get up to $4,100 of sign-up bonuses using the link down below. UST, 15%. There's a lot to do in this space. We don't have to always be in the market, always buying, because some of the best opportunities come when we are patient. Thanks again for joining me. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.